In this audio clip, I'm going to be talking about transgenderism, and in particular the more extreme side, where there's this sort of woke culture. That's the side I'm going to be addressing, so a bit too extreme side. I must give a little sign up before we begin. So this is just, I'm not transgender myself, I don't really know anyone that is. This is just from my perspective, my opinion, based on what I've seen on, sort of the news, social media, whatever it may be. So just from my perspective, what I think is going on, and I'm also working on speaking my truth. So this is one way that I can work on that and say what I think directly without that fear of judgment. So let's begin. The first thing I would like to address is that I believe this whole transgenderism, this woke culture, is a lot of people that are actually out of balance. The way I see it, we can go one extreme or the other in society. You could go one extreme would be when you're just male, female, male must behave in a way that's, chops wood, alpha male, dominant female, and then females are more, wear a dress, you must wear pink, sort of that sort of stereotype. Now, I'm not saying this is right or wrong, I'm just saying that's one extreme. The other extreme, I believe, is this sort of this woke culture where it's, you can be non-binary. There's, some people say there's an unlimited amount of genders. You can identify as anything. Man can become woman, woman can become man. Once again, I'm not saying this is right or wrong, just saying this is the other extreme, like the complete opposite. And I think both sides, in fact, are out of balance. I think balance is key. But in particular, as we're addressing the transgenderism side, I think this is people where, because let's say in the past, in some, stricter cultures, and traditional cultures, particularly actually, my background's very, the upbringing was very traditional, man acts as man, woman acts as woman, that's it, you don't have any bend or leeway. And I think because in the past, I can't give specific time frames, but a lot of cultures have been brought up like that, where we have a bit more freedom, particularly in the United Kingdom and in the USA, sort of those sort of countries where I guess you could argue there's more freedom to do what you want. I think that's where people have taken it too far the opposite way. It's almost gone like, we've got a bit of freedom to become what we want, who we want to be, whereas you don't get that freedom in, say, like a Middle Eastern country. Oh, now we're going to show everyone this is what we can do, this is what we're made of, we can be who we want, do what we want, become who we want, but change gender and all this stuff. And I think, like I say, the pendulum has almost swung from too far one way to too far the other way. Not the right thing, in my opinion, because if the pendulum's swinging ferociously up to the left to right, it's got to swing back the other way, meaning when it swings back the other way, it's going to swing back hard and fast until it actually bounces out in the middle. I must say, I think the best of both worlds, in my opinion, would be first and foremost for males to act as males. And what I mean is you're that foundation. You provide that foundation. Yes, you still act as a male. You do quote-unquote manly things, which may involve, stuff that involves more strength-based stuff, but you're also in touch with that emotional intelligence side. And that's what I think men are lacking now, that are on that extreme side of males be males, women be women. But conversely, the feminine would be, obviously, you'd still have that feminine energy, because feminine energy is actually a bit more submissive. Doesn't mean to say you can't assert yourself in certain situations. It just means that energetically, females by nature are meant to be like that. That's meant to be their dominant side. They're meant to be slightly more dominant in the feminine energy than in the masculine. For males, they're meant to be slightly more in their masculine than in their feminine, just because that's where we're created. That's the way I see it. Like I said, because one extreme is too male dominated with energetic wise, the other extreme is too female dominated energy wise again. So we've gone out of balance. And I think as well, it doesn't help that in society, especially with social media, these influencers, it's very easy to, I guess you could say, brainwash people as well, because You can project an idea onto them from particularly someone that's got a large following, that's seen as an influential figure, and it sparks an idea into these people's heads, especially the younger people, the younger generation. And if these younger generation do not know about themselves, they've not gone within to learn about themselves, they don't know who they are first and foremost. So they can easily be convinced of these ideas that are a bit too extreme on one end of the scale. And once again, once you get a few people join into that, it becomes a bit like a trend. So people jump in without knowing the full facts. They might see a little clip, 2-minute clip on, I don't know, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, and then they jump in as well. They make a decision based off that, rather than doing the full research and understanding the in-depth of what this means to be, for example, in this case, transgender. So really, the solution to this is for people to to do inner work on themselves, which is not taught in schools. It's, really, people say like, go get a good job, get money, get paid, but no one says work on yourself, work on your mindset, learn about yourself, go within, know what emotions are coming, learn about emotional intelligence, resilience, stoicism, stuff like that, because if you know about yourself, no one on social media can convince you what you are, what you're not. You can't say, you'll see someone on social media and then you'd follow their views, because you'll be certain of what you are. You'll have that self-worth, that self-love within. And you could argue, and a lot of these people do argue as well, because I love myself so I can be what I want, I can do what I want. But that's the thing. This is the, I don't know what the word is, but this is the issue of not knowing yourself truly and not having done the work. Because you only know yourself if you only know yourself on a surface level, you think that's the truth of what you are. And when I say know yourself, I mean know the layers, know the deep-rooted layers within you. Know those patterns, those triggers within you properly and fully. And the reason why 90%, probably more, don't actually know themselves is because they don't get to the layers. They know the surface level. It's like an onion, yeah? If you see just the skin of the onion on top, you think that's the onion. No. The onion has so many layers within it. And a lot of people, unfortunately, only know the surface level of themselves and just see that. And they're like, this is me. This is who I am. When really who you are is in the core. That's where you learn those patterns, those triggers, those wounds. And you step into your frame. Let's call it that, the frame. So in the short term, ultimately there is not really a solution from my perspective, because the only way people are going to, I guess, in society is only going to balance out more is when it gets so extreme. Like you see, for example, people that are obviously biological men competing in a women's sports competition, and they win it just because they can. You can identify as a woman, so they're like, yeah, why the hell not? So the way I see it, and when things get so extreme, maybe then people will start taking more of a stand and go, hang on a minute, maybe this isn't right, maybe we've gone too far one way, and then the idea would be the pendulum would swing back, and maybe then it will go too far the other way again, but not as far as it was before. So maybe it'll go too far, like a little bit too, when I say men act as men, women act as women, but then it will have a little bit of that, I guess, qualities from the transgender woke culture kind of it. Add a little bit of that into there, so there'll be a bit more flexibility within that, let's call it the right side, bit more flexibility there, and then it'll probably swing back again. So the idea is it keeps swinging back and forth until it gets into that middle point, which is the ideal way. So like I say, short term there's not really a solution apart from to just see it through. Obviously keep work, and if people keep standing up for it, there's going to be a bit of conflict, which is, I'm going to have to do another talk on that in itself, because that's a whole new thing. Short term, it's just going to be, you're going to have to kind of just, it's almost like let the mistakes play out and then we can adapt it as we go along. But long term, the only way to solve this is long term. But the action that you can take now is start doing work on yourself, on your mind. Start doing things like meditation. Start observing your thoughts. Start learning about yourself. Who are you really? So doing that inner work, shadow work, things like that. That's the way I see it. The people that... Now, this is not going to apply to everyone. There's going to be people that completely refuse to accept this, and they're the ones that are going to find out the hard way when the pendulum swings the opposite way. For those that actually open themselves, and that's the people that can make the difference, for now at least. So do that inner work. Work on yourself. And ultimately, those people that are too far in one direction will see you leading by example, and then they may look up to you, they may not, but then that may cause them to change as well. Hope that helps. Have a great week.